A, geek protagonist. So, I saw Scary Movie 6. Now, just to give you a background on me before I go into my thoughts or anything, I am a fan of Scary Movie. The whole franchise. Well, the franchise. Basically, what I mean by that is Scary Movie 1, love how they did the Scream parody stuff. I actually don't like Scream. But I liked how they did the parody and they kind of did the pop culture jokes. One of the funny ones is when she did the Matrix kick, or when they had the one scene where they had to break the one rule of Sydney the dude, and he's and he turns into like a skeleton, and she's on the roof like ah. If you know, you know. I can't put it on YouTube because I will, even if I don't monetize, I get like they'll flag that. But basically, she's like stuck on the roof because the dude let loose. The little jokes about the dude's member and stuff like that. So that stuff was funny in Scary Movie 1. Scary Movie 2, classic. The thing with James Woods where he's dealing with the exorcist thing, he's like, F this. The whole opening of that movie is amazing. And Tim Curry is in it, and he's great. And when they do like the wheelchair race, it's all different stuff. Scary Movie 2 to me is the peak of that stuff. I like Scary Movie 3. I think it was still very good. I love the Matrix thing where he even fights the chick in the side the TV because the fly, she smacks it and she punches her and she's like, oh yeah, he's like you won with Eddie Griffith and stuff like that. And like they did their little parodies on that. Even Scary Movie 4. When they did the science parody, I didn't think it was that bad. I don't have a high expectation for parodies. I'm very simple to please with these for the most part. But yeah, like when they did the thing with the president and he had the finger, and he's like, we're not so different. You finally go to the bathroom that way. And they did the thing with the ring. The little boy in there kept like getting beat up. They had that Michael Jackson scene. I love Michael, but that scene was funny. Then you turn around, you have Scary Movie 5, which is like the movies were definitely, they should have went towards epic movie and stuff by that point by Scary Movie 4. Scary Movie 4 has funny parts, but it's like it really started to go. Scary Movie 5, it was more of just like they got celebrities in there to do stuff, and it's just not as funny. Like the one girl, Sarah Hyland, where she's like the Evil Dead thing, and they did the mother thing, and it just kind of like lost the luster. Basically, when they got away from Sydney, it kind of just lost the last of the magic with Brenda and stuff. So, but I love Haunted House 1, Haunted House 2, Naked Gun, that whole parody series stuff. So I really like a lot of parodies. I actually enjoyed Epic Movie. I enjoy Date Movie. Date Movie is one of my favorites, actually. So when I talk about this, I want you to understand that I'm a fan of parodies. Now, I noticed that comedians and Gen Xers complain about general audiences. They don't understand, Scary Movie 6, what it was trying to tell you, what it's trying to do, and that's why the box office is low. No, I understood what it was. I mean, I'm not a Gen Xer. I think they call me a Zennial, because I'm like a millennial, but I actually was born around a time where I do remember some Gen X stuff, so I'm like kind of in between, so I think that's what they call it. I mean, they're always making up new stuff, but anyway. So I'm kind of in a unique spot, because I actually remember the world before cell phones, before tech, back then, from the 70s into the 80s, so whatever. Now, I'm open to jokes that can be offensive. But if a joke is bad, not funny, then it's just a bad joke. There's a difference between when you keep trying to say, well, the audience is too sensitive, right? To understand or handle the joke. Sometimes, but there's other times you got to also take some responsibility. Because as a comedian, you also got to find the funny. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you right now, with the Scary Movie 6 marketing, with the whole we will offend everyone, it's messaging. When I see it, I'm like, a parody should be satire parody. You know what I mean? Like it should be satire and parody. It should maybe shine a light on something, but in a funny way, or do something kind of odd in a funny way, if you get my drift. But when your mission statement for a comedy movie is we will offend everyone, that's our goal. How can I put this? Okay. It's kind of a bad choice. So, to give you an example, as Star Wars, right? You have Rey. And listen, I love Star Wars Force Awakens. It's actually, I think, my favorite Star Wars movies outside of, Empire Strikes Back. And Rey is a Mary Sue. Now, I know there's people who want to argue or anything. let's be frank. Rey had no training, no nothing, and she was, and spoiler if you haven't seen it, she was able to beat Kylo Ren. Hands down. She was able to outforce him. Thing too. When he was trying to use something, she actually reversed it on him. He's trained in the Force. I'm not saying she doesn't have power, but the fact that she kept beating him to the point where they were like, oh, you need more training. She's never used the Force ever. That's like, there's a level where you can be talented, but if you just flat out at every stage beat a person and you've never done this thing before, like let's say you're throwing darts, right? And someone who's a world-class dart thrower, and you beat them because you're decent at it, you have a natural talent for it, okay. But when you're like, I can beat them every single time, no matter what, that gets a little ridiculous. So that's kind of like a Mary Sue, like they're perfect or something, because the agenda for that Star Wars was the Force is female instead of versus let's tell an awesome story with an awesome female lead. Because the Force is not female, the Force is actually male and female. If you actually are a real Star Wars fan, you would know that. The father, and then the dark side is the son, and the light is the daughter. But we're not here to talk about that. So it's a situation of agenda versus storytelling. It felt like saying, I got from this movie, it felt like saying that the old comedians shouldn't have to adjust to be funny for the newer audience. And to blame the audience, which I'm already seeing people do, is a cop-out. It's like when movies fail, like when Birds of Prey failed, they were like, oh, it's men. Yet the majority of the people who saw the movie was men. It's not your audience. Like, yeah, there's an audience level to a point, but you have to deliver so the audience will come. It's the toxic males is this. That they're a minority. You need to do the general audience. Most people aren't in that bubble. So you need to deliver what you're supposed to. That's why Birds of Prey didn't, because they were like, oh, it's men, instead of maybe the story wasn't that good. You know? And the theater I was in, quiet. And there was different types of people in that theater. This movie was wildly unfunny. It had tired, edgy jokes. When I feel a joke should be funny or clever, not just mean and offensive, it felt like they were just trying to be mean and offensive to be mean and offensive and edgy instead of trying to be funny. The intro was good. How they did the whole thing. That was good. And I was like, okay. And then it's like when a joke just dragged on and not end. Like, it felt like really bad SNL skits or joke skits, you know what I mean? Because that's the easiest one I can reference. Not saying it's just SNL, but like a sketch comedy show that had just a bunch of, it was just like the movie was just a bunch of these skits thrown together. And with it contained, these were all these things contained in their own bad bubbles. No lead up to it, nowhere, and it already wasn't landing. And it was a scene that was done for the sake of the bit. Like, if you saw the trailer, the one where she goes, "Stop smiling at me," and the dude's legit, that scene went nowhere. You gotta have how we get here, and it just didn't. And you know what the movie felt like? You know when a 5-year-old, where they're like, and then they're telling you a story, but they're like, they're telling you about their day, but by the time they're done, they're talking about grapes and orange and ponies. And you're like, what did that have to do with your day? That's what this was like. It was like, and then. But instead of it telling you a story, it was just a bunch of scenes that barely had anything to do with each other. Even the scene with the that's in the trailer, like when they're doing a Halloween party, it's just random scenes. Like that scene was just random. I will say that Naked Gun definitely did this better. So I think when we compare the parodies, because there was Naked Gun, right? Naked Gun, I think, did it better because there was a plot line. There was a point. The jokes attached to that plot line. That's what makes it funny. But when you got Marlon out here saying, we're bringing comedy back from the dead, we got to bring it back. It's not back. Bold words, my friend. Bold words. But to be for real with you, I laughed more watching Masters of the Universe. Funny should be, for a comedy movie, funny should be the first goal of a comedy. And I think, honestly, Keenan not directing this really hurt the film and exposed some things. Now, I know the dude that directed this, he did 50 Shades Black, which didn't really care for that movie. I like the actress, but the movie kind of fell flat. It was just it was like a really long bad joke. Naked, it kind of was funny at first, and it kind of fell off to me. However, I like Haunted House 1 and 2, which to me, those are a version of the Wayne's Scary Movie. But even then, I wanted a third film. And I think that movie, as time progressed, I remember the second movie, some people were like, why? I mean, I personally think both of the movies are great, and I wish they would have did that instead of Scary Movie now that I watched it. But, you know, it's how it is. Now, comedy can vary. And I will say the last, 20 minutes of the film actually got very funny. And I'm like, where was this entire movie? And I mean, people were quiet. I had a couple scenes where I chuckled a little. I mean, my chuckle was more like a... Most of the film, I'm just sitting there watching it, and blinking. It was about maybe 3 scenes where I went... And that's literally how it was. And I noticed other people in the audience were not laughing. And like I said, there was different age ranges. So you can't sit there, oh, it's a Gen Zers. No, there were some youngers. And they were just sitting there too. You can't make this kind of movie and just do nothing but references and nonstop jokes. They're just not enough. You still got to tell a story. And the comedy needs to support the story. And without that, it's just a bunch of random sketches. And that's what it really honestly felt like. Just a bunch of random sketches, man. And it was like I said, the example I gave, and I'm sorry if there's any little bit of spoiler, but in all honesty, it would be like a scene would happen, but it meant nothing. I guess you could say the through was like, oh, there was, the killer thing. But even with that, it was like sometimes they wouldn't even be wondering about it. Like they literally would veer off and do something else, and it had nothing to do with the killer thing. And then they would kind of get to the point, and then it was like they were pushing this kind of joke thing. And also there was characters that were back, and I was like, wait, why is this character back? Now I get it. There's a reference with Sean when he came back in the second one, he's like, I'm just here. But it was weird because if you go by the storylines, these characters were gone. But not just in the later ones, even in Scary Movie 2 and 3. Mainly 3. But 1. I'm sorry, 1, 2, and 3. It's wait a minute. How is that character back? And some of these characters, they were there for this. Maybe 5 minutes. One of them was there for literally a minute. So I'm like, you couldn't get Shannon Elizabeth in this movie? You literally had a character in here for less than a minute. KSI or KSI, whatever his name is, he had more time than some of these people. You literally could have just threw her in here for something. And she's the one character who didn't die. They threw her in the trash because she wouldn't go and die. But yet, these other characters, they were just back. And I'm like, how is Brenda back? How is this? This is weird. And then it was kids. And I'm like, wait, but didn't Sydney have this? So it was very confusing on top of that. Now, I get that something doesn't have to make total sense to be funny. But it was literally confusing. So, because it was weird. Like I said, it was a bunch of random things. They were like, well, we just want this. And it was like, let's make this joke and everything needs to be about this one bit. And then in this scene, everything needs to be about this one bit. So, my rating for this is a sinking ship. And the only reason why it's not lower is because the last 20 minutes was actually kind of funny. And the beginning was actually pretty funny. But the last 20 minutes, I actually liked what they were saying and stuff. There was some good things in it, even though the message still was you can't replace the originals. That's kind of what the whole idea of this movie felt like, and you got to have the old comedy. But it worked enough for the thing, so that's my rating. The movie's not funny. I'm sorry. It might literally be, in my opinion, the worst Scary Movie, and I mean worse than 5. And 5, like I said, had a couple funny parts, but 5 is not that funny, and it was more parody on pop culture than it was on horror. That's why they kind of moved out of the horror realm and into these other things, like I said, like Epic Movie and stuff, a date movie. So yeah, sinking ship. I'm sorry, it's not funny, and it's one of the quietest theaters I've ever been in. There was no reaction. There wasn't a ooh ah nothing. Which is sad because I waited years for this to be this disappointed. Geek Protagonist, you stay safe, you stay healthy, stay real. I'll be for real with you, I don't even want them to do White Chicks too if this is what I'm going to get. They need to figure it out. It really, really was not funny. Ugh, I'll see ya.